Transmutation by George Washington Carey, Part 13, Peter, the Purification Process, and the Millennial Reign. Support the channel and future growth. Please give the video a thumbs up, like, share, continue to comment, etc., etc. All links are listed below, as well as the PDF for this book. On the rock, Peter, or Petra, meaning stone, of the mineral salts is the human structure built, and the grave, the stomach, or hell, shall not prevail against it. The minerals in the body do not disintegrate, or at least, quote, not in the grave. The sexual functions of man and woman, the holy operation of creative energy manifested in male and female, the formation of life germs in ovum and sex fluids, the divine procedure of the, quote, word made flesh, end quote, and the mysteries of conception and birth are the despair of science. Quote, know ye not that your bodies are the living temple of God? And, quote, God breathed into man the breath of life, end quote. The roots of the vagus nerve are in the medulla oblongata at the base of the small brain, or the cerebellum, and explains why death follows the serving of the medulla. It controls the heart action, and if a drug, such as assenite, be administered even in small doses, its effect upon this nerve is shown in slowing the action of the heart and decreasing the blood pressure. In larger doses, it paralyzes the ends of the vagus nerve in the heart so that the pulse becomes sudden, very rapid, and at the same time, very irregular. Branches of the vagus nerve reach the heart, the lungs, the stomach, the liver, and the kidneys. Worry brings on kidney disease, but it is the vagus nerve, and especially that branch running to the kidneys, which under undue excitement or worry or strain brings about the paralysis of the kidneys in the performance of their functions. The nerves of the human body constitute the, quote, tree of life, end quote, with its leaves of healing, the flowing water of the rivers of life are the veins and arteries through which sweep the red, magnetic currents of love, of spirit made visible. At last we have seen the, quote, travail of the soul and are satisfied, end quote. No more temples of the magi now, but instead the temple of the ego, the glorious human bet. At least we have found the true church, the human church. Man must realize, however, that he is the creator or builder of his own body. When he finds out what he really is, and how much he has always had to do with in the making of himself what he is, he will be ready to grasp some idea of the wonderful possibilities of every human soul and body, and will then know how, completely and entirely, is every man his own savior. As long as he denies his own powers and looks outside of himself for salvation from present or future ills, he is indeed a lost creature. If the race is to be redeemed, it must come as the result of thought followed by action. If the race is to think differently than at present, it must have a new body with new brain. Man must be born again. The law of life is not a separate agent working independently of mankind and separate from individual life. Man himself is a phase of the great law in operation. When he once fully awakens to the universal cooperation of the attributes and thoughts through which the great dynamic operates or proceeds, he, and not from soil. This is a fact abundantly proved. Mr. Berthelot, a scientist of France, Tesla, the Australian wizard, and our own Edison have long held that food can be produced by a synthetic process from its element artificially. Biochemists long ago advanced the theory that animal tissue is formed from the air inhaled and not from food. The food, of course, serves its purpose. It acts as the negative pole, as does the earth to plant and vegetable life, and also furnishes the inorganic salts, the workers, that carry on chemistry of life, setting free magnetism, heat, and electric forces by disintegration and fermentation of the organic portions of the food. But air, in passing through the various avenues and complex structure of the human organism, changes, condenses, solidifies, until it is finally deposited as flesh and bone. From this established scientific truth, it appears that by constructing a set of tubes, pumps, etc., resembling the circulatory system as well as the lung cells of the human mechanism, which is a chemical laboratory where the chemistry of spirit is ever at work, changing the one essence of spirit, substance, to blood, flesh, and bone. Air may be changed into an albanous pablum, which may be again changed into the special kind of food required by adding the proper flavor, which may also be produced direct from the air. There does not seem to be any reason why this substance, the base of all food or vegetable growth, cannot, by proper process, be made into material for clothing. Wool, cotton, flax, silks, etc. are all produced from the universal elements through the slow, laborious, and costly process of animal or vegetable growth. Why not then produce them directly? Now, I have to go off script out of this book for a second, because in this writing, he says that, and then he just skips. He misses a whole piece. And because he says the same thing, but just elaborates further, in all of the various books that he's written, I did find an excerpt from Wonders of the Human Body that he is talking about the same exact thing, but he goes into further detail about his dream, his vision, and it was beautiful. So I wanted to add it, and it helps out a lot as well. Those who believe in a time of peace on earth, a millennial reign, certainly do not think that our present mode of producing food will continue during that age. Slaughter of animals and fruit, grain, or vegetable raising leaves small time for men and women to enjoy a condition foretold by all seers and prophets. But under the new way of producing food and clothing, the millennium is possible. And thus will the problem of subsistence be solved. No more monopoly of nature's bounties. An exchange of service will be the coin of the world instead of certain metals difficult to obtain. A realization of this vision or theory that will for a while be called visionary by most people will mean Eden restored. Many people have wondered why, during the past few years, that fruit pests have multiplied so alarmingly, and why cows are almost universally diseased, and so much attention given to meat, milk, and butter, products by boards of health, etc. There is surely a reason for all of this. The one life, supreme intelligence, or divine wisdom that holds the worlds of space in their appointed orbits surely knows all about the affairs of earth. When a new dispensation is about to be ushered in, old things begin to pass away. All labor of preparing food and clothing as now carried on will cease, and the people, in governmental or a collective capacity, will manufacture and distribute all manner of food and clothing for free. Machinery for the production of everything necessary for man's material wants will be simple and easily manipulated. 1/20th of the able-bodied population working on 1 or 2 hours a day and shifting every week or day, for that matter, with others, will produce an abundant supply. Garments may be worn just for a few days and then burned, and laundry work will cease to exist. Oh my goodness, that one brought a tear to my eye, you guys. Men will not have to devote their lives to the endless grind of food production, nor woman to cooking, dishwashing, sewing, or laundry work. Garments of beautiful design and finest texture will be made by machines invented for the purpose, ready for wear. Only a dream, you say? I cannot admit that in the face of the indisputable evidence it has already been able to be produced. But what if it were at the present time? The dream, it may appear to be, to the one who hears of its methods of operation for the first time, it is certain of future fulfillment. Do dreams ever come true? Yea, verily, all concrete facts are materialized dreams. And I just want to say, side note, yes, Dr. Carey, your dream is it's coming to fruition currently. At least some parts of it. Kathy's still waiting on those disposable clothes that you can just burn when you're done with and like recycle, back into the earth because it's not bad material. Yeah, I'm waiting for that one for sure. But yes, dreams do come true. An Egyptian king dreamed, and the pyramids of Cheops or Giza, mass and miracle, his vision. The pyramids are encyclopedic of physical science and astral lore, the science of numbers, weights, measures, geometry, and astronomy and astrology. All the deeper mysteries of the human body and soul are embodied in these comparable monuments. I dream of an ancient alchemist solidified in stone, and the awful Sphinx sat down in Egypt's sand to gaze into eternity. Columbus dreamed, and a white-sailed ship turned its prow west and southwest on uncharted seas. With an eternity of water ahead, he remembered his dream, and he answered, quote, "Sail on," end quote, to the discouraged mate, until he landed on the unknown shores of a most wonderful new world. Michelangelo dreamed 1,000 dreams, and sleeping marble awoke and smiled. Hudson Fulton dreamed, and steamboats, quote, "run over and under the seas," end quote. The Pilgrim Fathers dreamed, and America, the, quote, "marvel of nations," end quote, with banners, the skies with the stars and the stripes. Marcus Whitman and Lewis and Clark dreamed long and hard of the bones of an oxen, vibration of etheric substance causing light through regions of space, a girdle of something enfolding and binding together the race, and words without wires transmitted, aerial winged, spirit sandaled and shod. Some call it electricity, and others call it God. And when man is once finally alive to his own heritage, realizing the wonders and the possibilities of his own body, and to provide for its needs, he will assert the divine right within him to be an ego, a soul in command of its own temple and the environments of that temple, and will rejoice in the revealed truth of his own divinity that alone can make him free. The alchemists, the seers, and astrologists of all ages have wrestled with this problem in their ceaseless endeavors to unravel the great mystery of man's dominion over the flesh. Quote, "The wise man rules his stars," end quote. All are seeking to span the awful space that yawns between the neophyte and the promised land of immortality in the body, where, quote, "In my flesh I shall see God," end quote. And when and where he can truly say, with regenerated Job, quote, "I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee," end quote. Man must work out his own salvation. There are 12 inorganic mineral cell salts in the human body, and these minerals, or stones in the temple, correspond in vibration to the 12 signs of the zodiac. Not through quarantine, nor disinfectants, nor boards of health will man reach the long-sought plane of physical well-being, nor by denials of the disease will bodily regeneration be wrought, nor by dieting or fasting or, quote, Fletcherizing, end quote, or suggesting will the elixir of life and the philosopher's stone be found. The mercury of sages and the, quote, hidden manna, end quote, are not constituents of health foods. Vitamins of salt baths and massages are bad before their time, and the alcohol, the steam, and Turkish bath, friends die young. Only when man's body is made chemically perfect will the mind be able to perfectly express itself, and the secret of this chemical perfectionment is the sum total of the requirement involved in the zodiacal Bible. The rock, Peter, or Petra must be perfectly formed before the etheric wires which span the gulf between birth forward to the sidereal point of conception can vibrate in such harmony as to sustain the traveler on this, quote, magic bridge of 3 piers, end quote, or the 3 zodiacal signs through which the material body must successfully function before it may hope to lift the veil of Isis. The tree of life, a symbol of physical regenesis, has been exploited in song, drama, and story. The tree of life, a symbol of physical regenesis, has been exploited in song, drama, and story. Paracelsus, Pythagoras, Lycurgus, Valentine, Wagner, and a long and unbroken line of the Illuminati, from time immemorial, have chanted their epics in unison with this, quote, riddle of the Sphinx, end quote, across the scroll of which it is written, quote, solve me or die, end quote. End of part 13. Watch the playlist for part 14. They all saying I believe that it's the last one in the playlist. I believe it's finished. I don't think I'll have to split it into 2. Make sure that you give the video a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell, donate if you're able, all of that stuff. The PDF is listed below. Yeah, that's it. Love yourselves and love each other unconditionally. Peace.